So welcome back to the channel, guys. It is the 8744 Extra for Matchday 2 of the Pokemon Community Tournament Season 3, guys. So today we're going to go ahead and get started, guys. And yeah, like I said, guys, we're going to go ahead and start. So, Renk, man, how do you feel? Renk is going to start with the proceedings of sports. So, Renk, man, take it away, man.
Yes. Matchday 1 already brought a lot of interesting battles and a lot of rememberable moments for the tournament as a whole, and I think that Matchday 2 is going to deliver as well. We got some really good battles coming, and so I hope that you guys enjoy it and that you stay up until the end, because there are going to be a lot of surprises on this one.
Yes, and of course there'll be timestamps for each battle as well. So in case you're not watching it live or you have to go or something, it's always there. So I think it's only for. I think I'll let Renk decide. Renk, which battle are we going to start first? I think we should go with. I recommend to go in Savutian versus Psykick.
Yeah, I think that's a good place to start.
All right. So, do you want me to share or I share?
I don't really mind. We can do either.
Okay. Well, I'll just share it since I already got the battle up. So.
Okay.
All right. So. Do you have anything to say before the battle begins, or let's just let the battle begin?
Well, so obviously, coming into this battle, Savutian coming off a very strong result by beating Elibungo on Matchday 1, while Psykick ended up losing in a very narrow battle against Mats, and so looking to bounce back on this one. We have the lineups with Savutian coming up with Rotom Wash, Latios, Covalion, Gengar, Porygon C, and Regice, while Psychic is coming with Flygon, Gardevoir, Moltres, Azumarill, Metagross, and Gastrodon. So a lot of powerful Pokemon. I think this is pretty much the strongest lineups for both of these players.
Yeah, it should
be interesting. He's made one change to when he faced me, and the change he has made, Gastron, is a like-for-like replacement for Swampert.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see if Savutian can follow it up with another win here, which will put him in a really good position. So, and Psychick, he lost the first game, right?
Yeah, he lost 1-0 to Mats. It was a very, very close battle.
Yeah. All right, let's start.
So Psychic leading up with the Moltres against the Covalion from Savutian. Obviously, Moltres as a fire type is strong against Covalion and instantly goes for the Flamethrower, knocking it out in one hit. Covalion was able to set up the rocks, but yeah, losing a Pokemon just like that feels really, really bad for Savutian. He does trick his Choice Scarf into the Moltres, making it faster, but locking it into the not very effective Hurricane. It got the confusion, so now Rotom hits itself. The next Hurricane misses and Hydro Pump connects, knocking out the Moltres in a single hit. So it's a 1-for-1 at the moment, but this Rotom is very damaged and is confused, and it hits itself again. And Azumarill, following it up with the knockoff, takes out the Rotom. So Psychic, currently with a 1 Pokemon advantage. Regice comes in, and the Aqua Jet does some damage to it, but it's not enough, and Regice hides itself behind a substitute. Player F is able to knock out the substitute, but Regice doesn't take any damage because the substitute took the hit. Thunderbolt does a lot of damage to the Azumarill. Another one should be able to knock it out, and that's exactly what happens. Regice takes out the Azumarill. It's a 2-for-2 currently, but this Regice has taken a bunch of damage, and the Steel type in the Metagross comes in as a good answer. Porygon C switches in, but it does not tank that Bullet Punch very well. It does half of its health. It does survive the second one, goes for the super effective Shadow Ball, but doesn't knock out the Metagross, and another Bullet Punch with the priority takes out the Porygon C. Psychic with the advantage at the moment. Another Bullet Punch, a lot of damage on the Gengar. The Course Body disables the Metagross from using Bullet Punch again, but it doesn't matter because it goes down to the Hex anyway. It's 3 against 3. Very, very close at the moment. Hypnosis misses, and so Gastrodon doesn't fall asleep. Goes for the Scald. Gengar survives, but it's burned, and because of the burn, it's going to end up going down. Savutian down to his final 2 Pokemon. Latios is going to come in and Calm Mind, raising its special defense, special attack. The Toxic from the Gastrodon misses. That is huge. And the Draco Meteor takes out the Gastrodon in a single hit. It's a 2 versus 2. And we'll have to see whether Flygon can do anything. It's faster Then the Latios uses Outrage and knocks out the Pokemon from Savutian. It's down to the Regice. Outrage once again. It does survive and is able to fire back with an Ice Beam, one-shotting the Flygon. It's Gardevoir against Regice. It's a one-on-one, but this Regice is super slow, and Gardevoir should be faster, I think. And with a final Aura Sphere, he's able to take the knockout, and Psychick gets the win 1-0 in a very back-and-forth battle.
Yeah, it was definitely a close one, indeed. So I guess we'll go around the room and give our quick thoughts, and we'll go to the second battle. So, yeah, it was a very close one, and he got a close one. And Psychick, even though he's lost both games, he's not an easy person, man. You're going to have to give it your all if you want to beat him. T2S, man, what's your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I'm pretty proud of him because, I mentioned this before, he actually came to me for some advice for a tournament. And even after the first match, I kind of gave him some advice about his team, how he could utilize his Pokemon better. And yeah, I think Swampert, in my opinion, without its Mega, it's not a great Pokemon. I think Gastrodon is better, and yeah, I think we kind of saw that in this battle. And yeah, I mean, I think there were some, fine margins here. If Gengar landed at Hypnosis, probably would have lost this match, but Pokemon's all about the fine margins.
Yeah, definitely, man, definitely. Matt, what's your quick thoughts on this game?
Not a lot to add, but Psychic got off to a fantastic start with the one shot at the beginning, and therefore it set the tone and gave him a bit more breathing room to potentially go on and win this game. And fair play to him. This was a must-win battle for him, and he's managed to get it. And let's see where the rest of the tournament lies for him.
All right, Renk, quick thoughts.
Yeah, I think it was an extremely close battle, like we said before, back and forth. It only lasted 18 turns because we were seeing Pokemon fall like flies, basically. There was not a lot of switching back and forth, and so we saw a lot of Pokemon just kind of get one shot. It was interesting to see. This obviously was a must-win game for Psychic, like Matt said, after losing the first game. Winning in this one is massive for him. Both players are now at a one-on-one. This set that Savutian keeps bringing with Hypnosis Gengar, I think that it's not that reliable because Hypnosis only has a 60% accuracy. I've seen Savutian run this set, I think, since the qualifier tournament. I think that he also drafted Gengar for the qualifier tournament. And so him still relying on this strategy, I don't know if it's the best, but we'll have to see if he evolves during the rest of the tournament, as both players now on the board with a single win.
All right, I think it's the first time Spectre has joined, so welcome, Spectre. Yeah, so any quick thoughts on this game?
I think you do have to big up Psychic for his game. He did a really good job. It was really unfortunate, especially with the confuses with Rotom, because if he didn't get confused the first time around, I think the game would have been a lot more interesting, especially since Rotom would have been at full health to really better combat Metagross than everybody else. But again, he did do a good job. Definitely great outplays on both ends. And what Renk was saying about the Gengar with the Hypnosis, I do think that it may not be as reliable as he thought it was, because if it hit, he may have had the chance to win, especially with how he was using Hex as well.
Okay, let's go to the second battle, shall we?
Yeah, so Spectre, you said that you had some stuff to do, so I don't know if you want to have our live battle right away or if you want to keep it until later.
If you want to battle now, we can go ahead and do that.
Sure, I think that would be best.
All right.
Oh yeah.
Moment, then.
I guess we'll alternate between groups.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's go to Group B. Action. We're gonna have a live battle, guys. We're gonna have Renk versus Spectre. Of course, I'll put these two people in the background for the battle, and I guess I'll let one of Matt's or T2S commentate for this one. I'll let you guys decide if you guys want to do it or not.
I'm happy to co-commentate with T10S.
Yeah, sure. Like that, I think we can do it together, I guess.
Okay, I guess that works. So let me pull up. So once the battle starts, guys, I'll put them in the back. So and guys, before we do this battle, guys, give your predictions. I think we're going to do predictions just for the live battles, guys. So live battles. So I'm going to go with Renk to win.
I'll say Renk wins by about 3 kills.
I'll say Renk wins with 1-0. Not a much.
Ooh. Okay. Well, Renk, I think we'll take any win. Doesn't matter the margin, right?
Yeah, of course. I think that if I'm to top this group, I have to win every single game, and so Spectre is a really strong opponent, and I think I just need to win the game. That's what matters.
Yeah.
Yeah. Would it be worth reading the comments in the meantime?
Yeah, well, this is our first comment for today. Where's Doodle? Yeah, Doodle actually is a bit busy today, so unfortunately we can't join.
And while we're waiting, this is my time. For 11 a.m.
Yeah.
Well,
at least on a Saturday. At least on Saturday.
Yeah, Saturday.
Oh,
I found one of my Pokemon cards recently. It's of Dialga that I don't remember where or when it was, but of course this is a value, so I've got to keep it.
Oh, guys, remember to like and subscribe, guys. Guys, remember to like and subscribe, guys. Let's try to get to 10 likes. Helps the algorithm, helps the channel grow. More people. I mean, more people, and more people tournaments we can do in the future. So, yeah. So, guys, remember to like if you haven't already done so.
Okay. Spectre says he's setting nicknames. That's fair.
All right. Thank you for joining, Patrick. Oh, yeah. Let me do a poll, actually, for this game. Renk versus Spectre. So how many live battles do we have today? I think, is it just 1 or 2?
Only 1.
Only 1 today.
Okay. Yeah, so this is the only poll you guys are going to vote in for today.
My battle next week's going to be live, so hopefully, so we might get some more live battles.
Okay, the battle is in the Discord.
Okay, before we do the battle, guys, Renk, do you want me to share this graphic, or do you want to do it after the battle?
You can share it if you want.
Okay, I think I'll just share it.
Otherwise, it's not really worth it. Just do it after the battle.
Yeah, it's kind of point. You're right. So, guys, here's a lineup. You don't have to do this, by the way. You guys can do this for fun. It doesn't really matter. But this is the image that Renk shared with this lineup. So, the team sheets of football, you have the team sheets like this. Renk did his own way for Pokemon style, which is pretty cool. So, yeah, I think it's pretty neat. So, yeah, Fortress, Heatron, Kodo. Oh, wow, you still even selected a captain. It's pretty.
He's my favorite.
And you put numbers each one. Yeah, this is nice. I like this. I like this very much. Does anyone else like this?
Yeah.
Yes.
Very original.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So let's actually do the battle, guys. Let's do the battle. So let me put the link and put these two in the back. So give me a few seconds to get everything sorted. All right. So let me put them and share screen. All right. All right. So I think we're ready to. I need to log in, right?
Yes.
Okay. I'll go with my classic 8744. Okay. Now, how do I close that out? Do I need to refresh?
Try clicking on the side.
Oh, there we go. I guess it works. Okay. All right. So we're about to start, guys. So let me get my timestamp here. So we're starting at 15 minutes, I guess. Renk versus Spectre. Actually, I'll put it we'll do 15, I guess. All right. So the battle has begun, guys.
Zabriska versus Fortress. Trying to see trying to predict what's going to happen. Unless one has a certain move then I think we'll see a switch from Spectre, as Fortress is a defensive Pokemon. Fire is one of the main weaknesses to Fortress.
Ball switch right after bat, switching already. Probably switching to Victini. Yep. Spikes.
And Fortress goes with the spikes.
Yep.
No Time to Die. That is a James Bond reference. It looks like Renk's naming all of his Pokemon after James Bond movies. It's got a substitute on side of Spectre. Goes for the Focus Blast. It's a lot of damage.
Oh my god, it lands.
A lot of damage. Well, Heatran does get the substitute down.
I think here he'll go for Fusion Balls.
But however, Heatran does have his special defense lowered a bit, but makes the switch. Again,
Spectre
goes for the substitute. Again,
Glaciate. Oh my god. One shot landed us.
Goes down to another ice move, just like last week against Mew, who did the Blizzard.
I've never heard of that move. I've never heard of Glaciate.
Fair enough. Kalido, also known as License to Kill, has one of Renk's biggest threats. And Renk was in this position last week, having gone a Pokemon down. But let's see what he can do from here. Spectre switches to Venusaur. Tanks that Surf very well.
My god. Back to Fortress. What's he gonna do? Lead seed. Oh my god. This player from Spectre is a lead right now.
So, he gets a hidden power. That's fire, isn't it?
Fire, surely. Oh my god.
Oh my jeez. This could be a huge upset, guys.
It feels like Spectre's just reading him. Feels like Spectre's just reading him like a book.
Yeah, that hidden power was definitely fire. That being the biggest weakness.
I remember Spectre's a newbie, so don't underestimate your opponents, guys.
Renk was complimentary of him last week, having put up a decent fight against Seb. And part of the reason Renk is naming Pokemon after James Bond movies is because Spectre is also a James Bond movie. And Venusaur with the Earth power, and now he's 3 Pokemon up. I did not see that coming. Even though I do know Venusaur can do Earthquake.
Now that power.
What do you think so far, TTNS?
Yeah, I mean, very... Okay. Can you hear me properly?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Yeah, okay. Very, I think that just feels like Spectre's just reading him like a book.
So what's next for Renk? Because Keldeo is not a good matchup, although I think has the speed advantage. Superior... I mean, the contrary Leaf Storm will help, but will it really do enough against Venusaur? And I can't quite see. Oh, he does go with a Icy Wind. Doesn't quite do it, but lowers the speed. But
oh my god,
it's not going to matter against a Venusaur who's quite tanky. But Keldeo holds on.
I didn't know Venusaur was just good.
Casino Royale, better known as Superior, tanks the Giga Drain.
Go to Seb Striker. Glare. Oh my god. Oh my god.
But Superior is immune.
Wow.
Oh, he just holds on. Superior goes for the Leaf Storm.
Sapsicle. Oh my god. Renk is finished. Like, I'm sorry, with all due respect, I think it's finished.
Who? Oh yeah, Florges. It's not a Pokemon I really know, but does tank the hidden power.
Okay, which hidden power do you think that is? Could be anything. Klefki. Okay, Florges could get him back in this.
So even without the substitute, who would you say has the advantage of the two Pokemon?
I mean, I'd say Florges, because with the Calm Mind.
That is helping, and
Manaphy, I think we'll go for the Tail Glow. Yeah. He could drain. Ooh. I think Manaphy will go down here, I think.
Renk,
risky
at least get
when-
one kill.
potentially
Surf.
goes
Yeah,
for the Surf. But the
Yeah.
Giga Drain and does get Renk one Pokemon back.
now
What can the
Klefki.
Florges do against the Klefki?
No,
Misses the Toxic.
Goes for the Moon
Gets a
Blast.
Moonblast.
I think I'll go for the Toxic again. Lands this
And
time.
does land this time. And a Moonblast might have taken it out had Klefki not had the leftovers.
Now, does Klefki have any healing moves? No, don't think so. Okay, so Klefki's down.
Does
Very
get some spikes on before getting taken out. We'll see if Renk has a Defog or Rapid Spun in or anything like that. That can take out the
Moonblast.
spikes.
Venus-
It does get the
Venus
Moonblast, but doesn't do much.
This time the lead seed does land.
Remind me what type of Pokemon Florges is.
Fairy.
Okay, so
Yeah, Venusaur just stalling would help. Wearing Florges down. Oh my god, it's down. Yeah, Renk is in big trouble here.
ooh,
And
is he has to one-shot here?
Ooh,
Oh, he
okay.
does get it.
but I think Victini or Substrike, I think it outspeeds.
Oh, this isn't a good matchup.
Icy Wind, yeah. Keldio's done.
Isn't Icy Wind usually useless anyway?
Yeah, like it's only good for like slowing down your opponent. Oh my god, it's
Yeah,
done.
wow.
Oh, and it's done. What a win.
Wow.
That was, I mean, I feel like, wow.
That is definitely I think that's the biggest upset in the tournament so far. And maybe ever in the Pokemon history, honestly, community tournament.
My god, no, I think when I saw the Striker having Sapsicle against Superior, it was done, I think, at that point.
Yeah. Wow, I can't believe it, man. Renk, man, what's your thoughts, man? You're probably shell-shocked.
Yeah, obviously, feels horrible to lose a game like this, but I'm not really surprised. I knew that Spectre was a fantastic player and that he was more than capable of getting this victory. I think I prepared as best as I could, but I knew when I looked at the matchup that it was going to be very difficult. Spectre just has a bunch of tools that he can use against my team, and I knew that the battle would be decided on fine margins, and it could go really either way. So, yeah, not really shocked that I lost, but I am disappointed about it. A bunch of things that I had planned out didn't work out. That's just how it goes sometimes. And yeah, I think I'll have to find a way to bounce back because the road doesn't get any easier from here. But yeah, massive congratulations to Spectre. His preparation was fantastic and his play was also superb. So yeah, congrats to him.
Yeah. Okay, I want to actually ask the victor, man. Spectre, how did you pull this off? Like, how? I just want to know, like, how did you pull this off?
First, let me first say big up to Renk because that was a very well built team that he's got not only for this match but overall. Because I know I was kept up all night pretty much for like the last week trying to build around not only Keldeo but everybody else surrounding him, even the people that didn't come like Road and Frost. Because I knew that the what he's got together, not only what was seen here, but was also left on the bench, was was pretty much keeping was just not easy to beat him. Not only because of his play, which you saw, and you saw like that little scare with Florges and then having missed the first Toxic, which I thought would have been the end of the game because I'll tell you now that I didn't really have many physical moves on that team, and Florges has 150 special defense. um, Really, you just like Rank said, every game is decided on the margins, decided on every little decision that you make. So it's really just trying to slowly figure out some information, trying to not necessarily like read someone like a book, but instead try to find like the best way you can position yourself to win. And I think I did a good job of that, and I think Rank did a really good job of that as well, especially with how he did that floor just closer to the end of the game.
Yeah, let's read some comments. Wow, Spectre, wow, Spectre really pulled this off. I thought you did well, Spectre. Congrats, Spectre. What a match. Like the video, guys. Yeah, like the stream, guys. Like the stream. Yeah, like craziness. I still can't believe it, man. Actually, I want to ask you guys before we move to the next one. Is this the biggest upset?
From what we've seen so far, maybe I'm trying to think back to if there was any other like upsets in the past tournaments. You could make an argument for Steve versus Doodle last time, but I'll use a lyric that was in the film Spectre, and that's for Renk. Once he was in trouble, the writing's on the wall.
Very much so. Yeah. One last thing that I want to comment about that battle is that, yes, like Spectre suggested, he didn't have a lot of physical attackers. The problem is that I was expecting those physical attackers. Like most of my preparation went towards like his Terrakion and then his Dragalge. Dragalge, I was not sure how I was supposed to take down, so I just slapped ice and ground moves everywhere, just hoping to take it down. And then neither of those Pokemon actually hit the battle, and so most of my preparation kind of went to waste. Another Pokemon that I had overlooked, like Seb Strike, ended up coming in clutch for Spectre, so massive props to him for that.
All right. Let's move to the next battle. The next battle I think we're going to do Matt's versus Steve. So
yes, I'll share my screen on that one.
All right. So, Matt, do you have anything to say before the game starts, or do you think the battle?
Well, I felt that I could have won my last battle by 2 or 3 E-kills. But I was aware that I was up against a stronger opposition. Steve himself, he'd lost 6-0 last time to Doodle, and he explicitly said in the DMs that he was looking to win by 6-0 again. So he did kind of give away a bit of his thought process. So therefore, I could at least somewhat expect what he was trying to do. I made 3 changes. I brought in Weavile, Noivern, and Empoleon in for Sceptile, Articuno, and who's the other one I left out? Mamoswine. That's the other one I'd left out. So yeah, this is the team I brought. And I've got stuff that I could say here now during the battle or afterwards. So I'll let Renk or T10S say the next bit.
Yeah, T10S, any comments on Steve's lineup?
Yeah, I mean, Salaman's always a dangerous Pokemon. You've got Electros, who's one of the only Pokemon in the game with no weaknesses. Jirachi as well, as a sitting race user. Slowbro and Slowking, both very tanky Pokemon up against each other. And yeah, I think Steve, I believe, was up against Doodle, and he lost pretty badly. But Doodle is one of the best players in the tournament, so I feel like he shouldn't be underestimated.
For sure, yeah. So we're gonna get this one started. Then Matt's leading with the Jolteon against the Electros. Both electric types hitting the field. The Toxic coming out from the Jolteon is good tech to hit a Pokemon that doesn't have any weaknesses. Unlike the Thunderbolt that doesn't do a lot of damage, this Body Slam is really doing a lot to this Jolteon, which is gonna have to Volt Switch out. And yeah, this Jolteon has taken a lot of damage already. Body Slam, not gonna be great against this Slowking, but potentially an electric move can come out now. Back into the Jolteon, I don't know if I agree with that. Jolteon just goes down and this Electros is going down to the next tick of poison, but Steve decided to switch it out into Jirachi, takes a huge chunk from the knockoff and is forced back right away. Weevil trying to go for the cheeky kill with the Ice Shard with priority, only does a bit of damage to the Chinchino. The Tail Slap, because of Chinchino's ability, is going to hit all 5 times every time, same as the Bullet Seed. And that's going to be the end of Slowking. And that's a second kill for Steve. Infernape hits the field. Positive matchup. Slowbro switches in. The Source Sense comes out. This Infernape is really strong, but doesn't seem to have anything. Yeah. Critical hit from the Skull doesn't do a lot. The Toxic misses. Another unfortunate moment for Mats there as he gets paralyzed. Salamence comes in. Now, Mats actually requested me to pause at this moment when Salamence switches in front of this Empoleon that is paralyzed and sets up the rocks. Mats, what were your comments about this moment? What was the thought process?
So I knew that Salamence was going to be a big game player for Steve. My main tactic was if Salamence was to come out, my strategy was to switch to Weavile with the expectation that he's going to do a Dragon Dance, and even if I used Ice Shard then and it doesn't hit, at least that could at a minimum Salamence has his stat that's reset, and I can get more on the front foot with Weavile, and plus, though I'm 2 Pokemon down, you could argue that it's still 4-4 because Jirachi's almost gone and Electros, it's only a matter of time before it gets taken out. However, I was with having got Empoleon, though I still should have still pursued with switching into Weavile. The reason I didn't was because I remembered back to my 3rd game against AAL last season when he had Salamence, because he's got Brick Break and Cross Chop, and I was thinking that Steve is probably anticipating me switching into a Weavile and therefore is going to do the attack. So yeah, that's. I don't think I should say any further because it'll spoil, but that's the big moment. I should have switched to Weavile.
So the thought process right now is that you're predicting that Steve is going to predict you. So there's a lot of mind games going on. Yeah. And yes, Salamence does indeed go for the Dragon Dance like you originally predicted. The liquidation does only a quarter, and Empoleon becomes paralyzed.
I thought I'd missed my chance here. Heads that
that's
switch him out.
Yeah, because now Salamence is behind a substitute at +2 speed and attack, and the Earthquake, super effective, is going to knock out Empoleon, gets a Moxie boost to boot, and yeah, there's not much you can do. The Ice Shard does take out the substitute, but now everything just dies to Salamence that is so far ahead, it's so fast, and has so much attack. The Dragonclaw one-shots both the Weavile and the Noivern. Only Infernape is left. Earthquake comes out, no Focus Sash. And that was the end of the game. Like you said, the game was fairly close up until then. You were 4 against 6, but 2 of Steve's Pokemon were very weak. But the moment that Salamence got set up, the game was instantly over, and Steve picks up a 6-0 win.
Wow. I had a feeling Steve would win, but I didn't expect it to be this big. So, yeah, Very crazy. All right, let's read some comments. Like and subscribe. Thank you, Big Fundamentals. Helps the channel grow as we're trying to get up to 200 subscribers, guys. Settlements help Steve win. All right, so does anyone have any additional thoughts before we move to match 4?
I think really probably what was the big killer is that Weavile not going for the second knockoff when Jirachi was at 5%. Because you could probably think that both Chinchino and Jirachi both were on the scarf, especially since Steve went straight to Chinchino after Jirachi was down. I also think, but yeah, I also think that probably should have tried to like more aggressively play up with Weavile, but like I said, good play by both of you guys, but it did unfortunately balloon over right at the end.
I have a few other thoughts. I figured that Electros, I was looking at ways to see if I could get a smackdown and an earthquake, but then over time realized that wasn't going to work because the smackdown can be inactive once Electros switches out. So I thought the best way to take it out was to play the long game with it and try and poison or burn it to death. The Cicino, I don't know how to pronounce it. I didn't prepare well enough for that. And also kicking the elf on the big omen to lose as I did, totally unacceptable, nowhere near good enough. And it's a sign that I could be going backwards because last season I got a kill in every game, and even in my losses I was averaging 2 kills per battle. And also about an hour later it had also hit me that even if Salamence had a fighting move and it took out Weavile, I could have still got myself back into the game with Neuven, because Neuven does have a speed advantage. I set it up to counter quite a lot of Steve's Pokemon. It didn't even get to use my preparation on Chandelier. So yes, I've got to definitely do more against Elibungo.
Okay, so guys, we're going into the second half of the battle. So
I mean,
we're gonna finish up
that's just how Pokemon goes. Yeah. So this is the final battle of Group A.
Okay.
In this one, we have Doodle facing up against Elibungo. Doodle obviously coming off a very strong win against Steve, while Elibungo lost in Matchday 1 against Savutian. And so looking to bounce back against one of the strongest players that we have. Doodle coming with Galvantula, Ferrothorn, Dragonite, Claydol, Volcarona, and Cloyster against Elibungo's Latias, Meloetta, Sylveon, Porygon 2, Hydreigon, and Volcanion. So we're going to kick this one off. Ferrothorn hitting the field, but against the fire type that is Volcanion, decides to switch out smartly. The Fire Blast is tanked a lot better by the Dragonite, who decides to set up with a Dragon Dance. Sludge Bomb does a bit of damage, but it's not nearly enough. Volcanion does survive the Earthquake on 3 HP, manages to get a poison with the Sludge Bomb, but Dragonite has the Lumberry to cure that poison, and with extreme speed is able to take that Volcanion. But now this Dragonite is super low, decides to switch out from the Ice Beam. Ferrothorn tanks it a lot better, gets paralyzed from the discharge, and is unable to move. An Ice Beam gets a critical hit. So this Porygon 2 putting in a lot of work, but it gets Leech Seed and is forced out. Gyro Ball does a lot of damage onto the Hydreigon. It gets a critical hit with the crunch, and so Elibungo is able to get a kill back, but a lot of recall from the Rocky Helmet, Iron Barbs, and the Life Orb. That Hydreigon is really, really low. The Extreme Speed connects into the Porygon 2, responds back with a Tri Attack onto the Volcarona. That's over half. And so
An
even though
analytic
Volcarona
boosted one.
Yes, and even though Volcarona is able to heal up with Morning Sun, it's not enough. So Volcarona decides to go for some damage with the Fiery Dance and just goes down to another Tri-Attack. And Elibungo has the lead of one Pokemon. Ice Beam, super effective, although this Claydol has boosted its special attack and special defense. Earth Power is not enough to take down the Porygon 2, and so another Ice Beam comes out. Claydol with the tech, Rest, Chestoberry, and is able to wake up instantly and heal all of its HP. Another Ice Beam comes out, but that's the end of Porygon 2. It's 4 against 4 currently. Ice Beam from the Latias, another one, a trade of Ice Beams comes out, both doing about half health, but Latias is faster, and with another Ice Beam takes out the Claydol. Cloyster comes out, but the Mist Ball comes out. It one-shots the Cloyster that has no special defense, and Doodle is in the back foot, goes into the Galvantula, and is able to knock out the Latias. But now, how do you take out this Sylveon? It dusted up the light screen, and now the Sticky Webs comes out, but it's a bit too late for that. Sylveon gets paralyzed, but Thunder does absolutely nothing, and Hyper Voice does a lot. This Galvantula is going down to this Hyper Voice, and this Dragonite has no HP and is staring down another Fairy type. Earthquake does not do enough. Hyper Voice takes out the Dragonite, and Elibungo, 3-0, has defeated Doodle, one of the favorites for the tournament.
Bro, I don't know which was a bigger upset, Spectre or Elibungo, because both are. I didn't expect this. I'm so shocked.
No, I think
I would say this one because at least Spectre finished first in the qualifiers, so he had some kind of track record. Which, to be fair, Elibungo did do well as well, but Doodle is a very strong player, and as for my thoughts, it's a result I didn't see coming. A huge bounce back, and he's managed to equal his Pokemon difference as well. I'm going to have to put in some work if I'm going to want to beat Eli.
Yeah, definitely, man. I'm surprised. Is anyone else surprised?
Yeah, I'm super surprised.
Definitely surprised the match, but I also think that there are some pretty big misplays, especially with one going Galvantula and doing Cloyster of Galvantula on Latias, especially when there's just and you saw the damage roll right there, and then also you can see at least with Porygon too, like if the ability doesn't trigger when it comes in, then you know it's analytic, and I feel like then you know that you have to just start going and boosting up immediately as Volcarona. Obviously,
Yeah,
of course,
definitely,
big up to Eli for his play. Did a really good job, especially with Porygon. So, and now we're pretty much like we now see why he calls him GOAT.
Yeah,
very much. Yeah, but this is a huge upset, I think. Doodle, I've never made a final, so Doodle is someone who has made 2 finals in a row, and we also know that Doodle at times does struggle a bit more in the group stages and bounces back in the playoffs. So I wouldn't say that this is something to write home about with Doodle. He made a few mistakes, and Elibungo capitalized massively on them. The preparation from Eli was fantastic on this one. And yeah, he ends up coming on top in a very hard-fought win.
Actually, I think this was the bigger upset, just because Doodle's made 2 finals in a row. You know, so,
and also keep in mind.
It's close though.
And I was gonna say, keep in mind as well that Spectre, he at least held his own very well against Mats, whereas I think Elibungo, I think he had a pretty unconvincing loss against Savutian.
Oh yeah, that's true. I forgot he lost to Savutian, so this definitely makes up for that loss for sure. All right,
Definitely,
so we're gonna move to the penultimate one. We got actually, you know what? I'll let Titanus talk about this one. Give us your thoughts before this battle.
Yeah, so he faced off in the qualifiers as well, and yeah, I beat him pretty comfortably. My only change I made this time around was I brought Chansey in for this because I thought that Chansey's tankiness would be helpful in this battle. And yeah, my main thought process going into this battle was how am I going to deal with Snorlax. So that was just my main thought. I think if I deal with Snorlax, then I probably deal with the rest of his team. That was my thought process. Is this rank screen or your screen idea?
This is a rank screen.
It's my screen, sorry.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Oh, yes.
Gigi trying to bounce off a loss in the first match day. Obviously, TTNS won in the first match day against Slither. And Gigi coming with the Snorlax, like TTNS was mentioning, Lucario, Zapdos, Heracross, Chestnut, and Mew. 3 fighting types, which is quite crazy, I guess, really trying to deal with that Chansey. While TTNS coming with the Crocodile, Chansey, Togekiss, Greninja, Garchomp, and Azelf. So we're going to see this one play out. Crocodile instantly with the Intimidate against the Snorlax, making it a bit weaker. The Stealth Rock already setting up. Hit Rush does not do a lot of damage, and it's an easy switch into the Garchomp. Although now here comes the Curse. He decides to switch out, not willing to risk any damage, but now Garchomp is able to set up an easy Sword Stance, and it's faster than the Lucario. Takes it out with an Earthquake, and then instantly takes out the Zapdos as well with a Stone Edge. Gigi losing 2 Pokemon back-to-back, and TTNS having a huge lead at the moment. Switches in to tank the Woodhammer with the Togekiss. Snorlax switches in to tanking the Air Slash. Does so very, very well, but we know that Togekiss is here for the long game. Does not get the flinch on that one, and Hit Crush does a bit of decent damage. And so TTNS decides to switch out into the Azelf, takes a massive hit from the Body Slam. Yeah, the Snorlax was going to be an issue. Body Slam does a bit less to the Chansey. It's extremely bulky, and the Seismic Toss is going to slowly start chipping away at it. We're going to see 2 very tanky Pokemon go at it for a while before TTNS switches into the Garchomp and Gigi switches into the Heracross. The burn from the Flame Orb suggests that his Heracross has guts, and so it's going to actually boost his attack instead of cut it in half. But we see a double switch as well. Aura Sphere, super effective, but Snorlax so tanky on the special side, goes for the Body Slam, and Gigi gets one back onto his Togekiss that has been a massive threat towards the tournament. Knockoff takes out the Snorlax, and so TTNS has the lead once again, 2 Pokemon difference. Knockoff on the Chestnut takes out the leftovers, but the Woodhammer is going to come out and get the knockout. It does take a bit of recoil damage, and here comes Azelf with a positive type advantage. The Psychic takes out the Chestnut, and so Gigi is down to his final 2 Pokemon. Mew comes out and goes for the Cosmic Power, boosting it both of its defenses, but this Greninja with the Dark Pulse, it is stabbed with the Protein, does 30%, and here comes the Body Press, a lot of damage, super effective, and this Mew is so tanky, thanks to that defense boost. The Dark Pulse doesn't do enough, and the Body Press takes out the Greninja, and now this has become a problem for TTNS, because another Body Press is going to come out. TTNS is able to get the Toxic, and so this Mew is now put on a timer. The Synchronize does Toxic the Chansey as well, but it's able to cure itself by switching out with Natural Cure. Body Press is doing still a lot of damage, while also this Mew being so incredibly tanky, but it's slowly going down to that Toxic. But it does have the roost to heal itself back up. And so Gigi could potentially stall this one. Another nasty plot coming from the Azelf. Storm Power does not do a lot of damage, it's only 2 boosts. Flamethrower comes out, it's a bunch of damage, but this Mew is so tanky. Body Press takes out the Azelf, and suddenly Gigi has brought it back to a 2 against 2, although Mew goes down to the poison finally, and it's Heracross against the world. Garchomp sets up the Sword Stand, close combat from the Heracross, doesn't get the kill. Garchomp barely survives that hit, and now he's faster, he's able to go for the Earthquake, and TTNS has won this one, 2 Pokemon to 0 against Gigi.
That was a close one.
It definitely was. It came down to the wire, because if that Heracross had gotten the kill against that Garchomp, all that TTNS had left was Chansey, and it's obviously slower and weak to close combat. So if Gigi had gotten that kill on the Garchomp, he would have straight up won the game, which is wild to think about. If he gets a crit or maybe a high damage roll, he would have done it.
Yeah, TTNS, man, you must be relieved.
Yeah, I mean, what I would say is, I did kind of underestimate him, because I didn't expect him to switch it up so much. I mean, that Mew, I thought it'd be the exact same. Like, I thought, I led with Crocodile because I thought he'd lead with Mew, like he did in his last battle, and moveset was completely different with that Mew from is the last battle. Also, I kind of panicked a bit when I couldn't take out a Snorlax. I panicked a bit, and yeah, I think I ended up focusing more on preserving my Pokemon rather than taking his Pokemon out. So yeah, on the future, need to make sure that I need to prepare for anything, because it's not one Pokemon can have two completely different move sets in between battles. So I have to prepare for that.
Yeah,
Kind of reminds me of last season when I tried to stall my Pokemon in order to try and beat Patrick 6-0, and it didn't quite work that way.
I think this shows in this tournament that you can't underestimate anyone. You have to you have to just you have to go. You have to be like you can't. You have just get the win. It doesn't matter how you win. Just get the win. And I think that's insane. And I think we kind of learned this in this series that the underdogs can win. We saw 2 underdogs win today. So don't underestimate your opponent, man. Renk, do you agree with that message?
Yeah, definitely. I think that the overall level of the tournament is a lot higher, and the so-called newbies have brought a bunch of fire to this tournament. And they may not be perfect. Nobody's perfect, but everyone makes mistakes in this tournament, and there's definitely room to capitalize on those mistakes if you play well enough. And I think that, if you're not prepared, if you take your preparation lightly and you're going to that battle with a bit of a complacent mentality, you're going to get punished. And in a game like Pokemon that is decided by fine margins and maybe a single turn spirals the whole game out of your control, it's important to stay focused the entire way through.
Yeah, wow, T-Dancer as well. I think Ellie deserved more. Oregon 2, Slither, and Goat. Let's go, Elibungo. Wow, 2 upsets in one match day. All right, guys, time for the final battle, man. Final battle. It is Seb Ball versus Slither. And after Seb Ball won the first game in kind of an unconvincing fashion, somehow kept a clean sheet, surprisingly. Let's see how this one goes. Well, his luck.
I don't think I've watched this one.
So,
I wouldn't say that Seb Ball's win was unconvincing. In fact, I think it's the opposite. I think that despite facing a super strong opponent, he played in a way that allowed him to not lose a single Pokemon. He played a super clinical game.
Yeah, I guess I should have said clinical is a better word. I think that's a better way I should have said it. Thank you for correcting me.
Yeah. So here, Seb Ball bring in Cryogonal, Nidoking, Machamp, Alomomola, Scavalier and Clefable against Slithers, Gliscor, Talonflame, Blissey, Roserade, Sharpedo, and Golork. I'm going to have to see if Slither can pull off the third upset of this match day and bounce back from his initial loss to Titanes, or if Seb is going to continue his dominant streak.
I'd say strictly from preview, the matchup does seem a bit, how do you say it, like even, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Boom, big dynamic punch there.
Big dynamic punch. Despite not being very effective, the Talonflame takes a lot of damage and hits itself in confusion. Pretty unfortunate there for Slither. Alomomola instantly switches out with the flip turn in front of the Roserade. Switch into the Talonflame once again to tank the Megahorn from the Scavalier, but now this Talonflame is super low and the Temper Flare is going to do absolutely nothing to the Alomomola, which gets another kill with the Rocky Helmet as it makes contact and Talonflame goes down. The Giga Drain is going to do nothing to the Scavalier. Seb Ball switching out so well, and the knockoff, predicting the Golork to come in. That's a lot of damage, and the Iron Head is going to take out the Golork. That's 2 kills to Seb Ball already. Blissey is going to set up the rocks, but he's going to take a massive hit from this Megahorn. Scavalier doing so much damage at the moment. Protect comes out to get a bit of healing from the leftovers, but I don't know if it's going to be enough. Softboiled comes out. Another Megahorn does a lot of damage.
Yeah.
And Slither is not doing a lot of progress on this one. It's just surviving. And Seb Ball predicts the Protect and switches into the Machamp, which is now free to go for a dynamic punch into the switching that this Gliscor. It takes not very effective damage, but it gets confused. Dual Wing Beat comes out. It does so much damage, but Machamp barely holds on, and the Ice Punch, quite effective, takes out the Gliscor, and it's 3-0 at the moment. Protect comes out from the...
I don't know why you go for Protect there. You just got to go for the
kill. You got the speed boost.
Yeah, gets the speed boost, but it's not enough. It's never going to do more damage to the Elibungo, and so the switches come in. Freeze Ray is super effective into this
And you
roll spread.
spike. Oh no.
Yeah, it goes for the spikes,
Spike.
but the hazards are not going to help you a lot. Against a rapid spin that this Cryogonal has, these hazards get cleared. And yes, Blissey is able to heal itself back up. The Toxic misses, which is big. Both
Oh,
Toxic
trade
misses.
misses.
Bit of a funny moment right there. Nidoking comes in and is immune to the Toxic due to being a poison type. Focus Punch comes out, but the Protect, scouting it out, is able to not do any damage. Here comes Roserade once again, but the Focus Punch this time is going to land, and despite being resisted, does take out the Grass type. And so Slither is down to his final 2 Pokemon. Here comes the Sharpedo, once again protecting, trying to get that speed boost, but Alomomola just reaches in, and the close combat does absolutely nothing. It does absolutely nothing. This Alomomola is so tanky. Takes damage with the Rocky Helmet and the Toxic, and you can be as fast as you want, but if you're not doing damage, it doesn't matter.
Maybe if it had Dark Pulse, it would do a lot more. Do a lot more with Dark Pulse with the Life Orb. But
potentially. But yeah, Dynamic Punch, you can protect it, but if you cannot do damage to this Machamp, you're not going to do anything. Dynamic Punch kills the Blissey in a single hit. And here comes, once again, the Sharpedo, Psychic Fangs. Yeah, you had the super effective type move against the Machamp, but the Lomomola is an easy switch in this Pokemon. Is so tanky. Crunch does some more damage, but the Wish comes out just to ensure the win, because this Toxic is just racking up. You get a crit, but it's a bit too late. Flip Turn comes out, and Seb Ball, another 6-0 win, this type against Slither. Super convincing once again.
Yeah, this is another. Yeah, this is definitely better than the first one. Wait, is Seb the only one that hasn't got a Pokemon killed of everyone?
Yes.
Wow. You know what? Everyone, give a round of applause for that. After 2 match days, that's a round of applause. That's
Seb for sure performing the best out of everyone at the moment.
Yeah. So, I guess we could talk about I guess we could look at the group stands and match day 3 ahead briefly, and then I guess we'll wrap it up.
Yes, of course. Let me pull up the match standings, because we actually have a very funny scenario that we kind of hinted at that was possible in the first match today after all games were finished, because of how the schedule was set up. And so if you can show my screen, AD.
Yes, I can. Just give me a few seconds. There we go.
So here we have Group A, and every single player has a win and a loss. Everyone is tied. Only Pokemon difference is the deciding factor. Obviously, head-to-head should go first, but because everyone has beaten everyone, it's a bit hard to do head-to-head. For example, Doodle should be behind Elibungo, but Elibungo should be behind Savutian, and so it makes the whole thing very complicated. So I just decided to go with Pokemon difference for now. It doesn't matter. In the next match day, we're going to see the table flesh out, but for the moment, everyone has a win and everyone has a loss. So everything is still to play for in this match, in this group.
Yeah, it'll be really funny, Renk. Is this possible? Is there a way that everyone can finish on the same amount of... Wait, no, that can't happen. I just realized that can't happen.
No, it can't happen because we only have 5 match days. So, like, you have to finish.
Penultimate match day at latest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I mean, imagine this group ends like this. Like after match day 6, like it's like so close. Like that'd be crazy. But
yes, definitely. And if we move over to Group B, here are your standings. Seb and Titanes, you're only 2 undefeated players in the entire tournament at the moment, with 2 wins and 0 losses. Spectre, now bouncing back after his initial loss to Seb, finds himself ahead of me in head-to-head, despite having a worse Pokemon difference. And yeah, I also have 1 win and 1 loss. Gigi and Slither still yet to find a win, but we'll have to see if they can bounce back in the next match day as well. And they pretty much have to if they want to keep their hopes of making the knockouts alive.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, it's interesting because I thought Group B would be more interesting, but turns out maybe Group A is better. Who knows? I guess the end we'll see. But yeah,
at the end we'll see. So looking forward at match day 3, here we have for Group A, Savutian is going to face off against Doodle, Elibungo against Mats, and Steve against Psychick. obviously everyone has a win, everyone has a loss. So in order to separate themselves from the pack, they all have to win and have to see how the rest of the group plays out. But for now, every win matters. And so, yeah, a lot of spicy matchups on this one.
Yeah, definitely. What's the one that you guys are most looking forward to? For me, I'll say Elibungo versus Mats. That's probably the one I'm looking for most.
I think that one could be interesting as well. Mats having to bounce back from his loss against Steve, has to play another newbie like Psykick, this time Elibungo. But Elibungo is coming off a massive win against Doodle, and so that's not going to be an easy game for Mats whatsoever. And so the preparation is going to matter a lot for that game. And we also have to see how Doodle himself bounces back after his loss against Savutian. Savutian having shown two very strong performances, beating Elibungo and having a narrow defeat against Psykick. I feel like Savutian against Doodle is also going to be a spicy matchup. Not to mention that that's going to be a Milan derby in a way. I don't know if anyone else has thoughts. Like Mats, what are your thoughts in that match against Elibungo?
Yeah, like you said, it's one I've got to prepare for. Even when I was more than a week away, I already started. I've still got to build on it, but I feel like I've got to win this because I think I need at least 3 wins, and if I don't win this, then I've got to play Doodle, and by then I could be fucked.
All right, let's move to Group B.
So Group B, here we're going to have...
There's your match of the day.
There's their match of the day, Titanes against Seb, the 2 players that are still undefeated. One of them is going to record their first loss, and another one is going to move to 3-0. So Titanes against Seb is going to be massive. Slither has to play against me. So both of us lost in the last match day, so we have to bounce back. Slither is very much forced to win against me to keep his qualifier hopes alive, and I have to win if I want to obviously bounce back, and if I want to have any hope of topping the group, I pretty much have to win and hope that other results go my way, but I definitely need to bounce back. Meanwhile, Gigi has to play against Spectre, and so yeah, that's going to be another very, very spicy matchup.
Yeah,
I think all the eyes of this week are probably going to be on Titanes against Seb, obviously because they're probably group of that probably the 2 best players probably in that group right now, and then also Eli against Mats because of how they're coming on in that little run of form that they've got over the last week or so. I'm interested to really see like how they're going to play against each other, especially since it looks like sorry, I'm taking a look at the rosters right now, but it looks like Tolucas is going to be very strong into Seb, but also could be the same way around for like Needle King and maybe a Scavalier as well for Seb. So it'll pretty much be like a full-on battle of all the stars, like a whole like a prime Real Madrid going up against United back in the day. So you know.
Well, Titanes, anything to add on that? How do you feel going up against Seb, both undefeated?
No, I mean,
I just realized, what's interesting? Both of them support Manchester United, I just realized. So
that is true. Both United supporters.
This is a Manchester derby. But yeah, I'd say I'm nervous. Yeah, I'll admit I'm nervous because I think I've never seen. I think Seb is the only one who. I think he's someone he's pretty arrogant, but he actually backs up that arrogance a lot. And he's so calculative with all of his moves. Like even with his battle against Slither, he could have just let Elibungo go down like that with crunch, but he got that extra vision just to put a cherry on top. You know, he is ruthless and he's just calculative, and yeah, he'll just make the move which is most efficient for him for the table. So yeah, it'll be a tough battle, and yeah, definitely probably I would say my toughest match of the group stage will be.
Yeah, definitely. All right, I guess that's definitely the battle I'm looking for the most. So Let's read some of you guys' comments. That was too easy for Seb. Ellie next week is going to be a lot in live.
Yep.
All right, that's good. Amazing match day, guys. Yeah, amazing match day. So yeah, match day 2, man. This match day was very eventful. A lot more craziness happened this match day than I didn't anticipate. Like, I thought the craziness would begin maybe like 3 or 4, but it already began at 2. So who knows what the rest of the tournament has in store. So yeah, I'm very excited, man. Very excited to see how this pans out because I agree with Renk. This tournament definitely feels like it's very competitive and that everyone can win. Anyone can win. Don't write anyone off. Write anyone off at your own will. Let's put it this way.
Certainly.
Yeah, so any closing thoughts before we wrap it up?
Yes, I'd also remembered that on the Weavile versus Jirachi situation, if I had an attacking item, then that's the small margins between Jirachi surviving and not. And as asked for the match day, not one I enjoyed on my side, but certainly Group B was very interesting. And given some of the fixtures that are coming up next week, I'm looking forward to see how that turns out.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, by the way, I did a poll.
Yeah.
Which group you prefer? And people are saying Group A, and then some people said Group, and then said both equally. So no one actually.
How many votes?
We had 6 votes.
Okay.
So yeah.
Bad.
Spectre, sorry, you could do.
Of course, I think the big takeaway, not only from like this week, but just overall, is that this is going to be a game of margins, a game of like small decisions, really, not only in the game, but also in the builder. So we'll really see like the big difference that you're going to see is not only going to be on the field, but in that drafting process, which is already passed, in that sort of stage that comes before you even get on the field, because the difference between sometimes just had like between like you having like a great team on paper with like I said with the Madrid and the first like set of Galacticos, they only got 1 European Cup compared to like Liverpool in the 2000s. They were all right, but they got their title. They got their no, they didn't get their league title. They also got their cup as well. And the way that they played very well. They just went out and beat who was in front of them.
Yeah. Anyways, I think we'll wrap it up here. Unless anyone else have any further thoughts. Hope you guys did enjoy today's stream. Guys, like and subscribe. Let's see how many likes we're on today's stream before we wrap it up. We're currently at 10 likes. Okay, 10's pretty good. So we got the like target we achieved. So I hope you guys did enjoy. And I'll see you guys in 7 days' time, next Saturday at 12 p.m. Eastern time. Peace, 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 peace.
Peace.
Out.